guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled Dress for the Job You Want, Not the Job You Have. The management company that oversees my apartment building has always been total crap. Packages go missing from the mail room, repairs take forever, staff are unfriendly, not at all worth what we pay in fees. There was only one solid employee, and he almost made up for everyone else's incompetence, the janitor, Ruan. He kept everything sparkling clean and even pitched in when other people slacked off, helping with repairs, ID checking in the lobby, and more, just because he took pride in the building. Then the corporate oversight of the management company changed and the new boss was having all the properties inspected to do a quality spot check on the individual building managers. Our manager, the winner that he is, decided the best course of action would be to not come in the day of the oversight visit so that it would have to be cancelled. The hope was the checker would just inspect what he could without the manager on site, which wasn't much since he'd have already made the trip out there. My apartment has terrible cell reception and no AC, so I spend a ton of time downstairs in the lobby, which has both. I was able to overhear most of the planning for this visit as a result. Our janitor, Ruan, knew too, and he was spiffing everything up like new in excitement. Fixing a few broken things the repairs guy ignored and even bringing in fresh cut flowers to the lobby out of his own pocket. Ruan dressed up in a collared shirt and khakis for the visit. He didn't know the manager was bailing. I just heard it hanging out in the lobby late one night. So when the corporate inspector arrived, Ruan was the only guy he saw. He was dressed up. So the inspector shook his hand and started rattling off the things he wanted shown to him. Ruan knows this building better than anyone else on the staff, so you could tell he was a little overwhelmed at being seen as the point person, but he knew the answers to every one of the inspector's questions. Meanwhile, a few tenants and contractors who frequent the building past an all-new Ruan brought him concerns about their apartments. Those on the staff who knew we were being inspected even made a point to say, "Yeah, Ruan's the guy if you've got a problem." So the end of the inspection must have come because they recongregated in the lobby. The inspector told Ruan he wanted to get his full name so he could make a note in his employee file of how well he's run the building so far, and that he'd meet with him later in the week to discuss fixes for the problems he found. Ruan, shocked, is like, "You want to meet with me again?" And the inspector is like, "Sure, I'm looking forward to a long working relationship. I like to meet with each building once a month. Sorry, what was your name again, for the file?" Ruan told him and the inspector goes, "Hold on, I thought someone called Eddie was the manager here?" And Ruan explained, clearly embarrassed and scared he'd done something wrong, that he is not the manager. The manager didn't come in today. The inspector then went and spoke with a few people in the building on his own while Ruan absolutely lost his crap in the lobby, thinking he was going to be fired or get the building censured or something. Eventually the inspector comes back and he sits Ruan down and tells him he might not be manager in title but he's manager in action, so if he wants it, he's got a new job. The man cried. Ruan's been working as a contractor through a janitorial service, not directly for the building. So no benefits, considered part-time, very little job security or support. And he'd just gone from that to a cushy office job in the building he loves in the blink of an eye. I was sitting on the couch a few spaces down from them. The lobby has a sitting area with tables and chairs and couches, and I felt compelled to ask, before anyone got too excited, "Hey, excuse me, can you do that? Or could someone veto this?" Because I hated to think Ruan would be so excited only to have some sort of bureaucracy or old boys club shoot down his promised opportunity. The inspector turns to me and informs me he's the new COO of the management company, and final hiring decisions are at his sole discretion. Then he asked who I was and I basically said, I was just leaving, and I ducked off out of there before my big mouth complicated things any further. This week Ruan started officially. We've got flowers in the lobby every day now and a dripping faucet I've been waiting 6 weeks to have fixed is scheduled for repair on Thursday. He didn't work there, but he does now. The next story is entitled Lady Gets What She Deserves After Assaulting Me and Triggering a PTSD Episode. Satisfying Ending. Cast, Me Just Me EP entitled Person/Parent A Actual Employee Support Cast, Security, Vet Cop, Cousin Cop, Hubby, EP's Kid. Context, this is the experience of a time I was just done with people for the day and it got really messy. for work I had to dress in upscale business attire with some antiquated ideas on ladies' wear, like you must wear heels and nylons. I'd do any shopping or errands on my way home from work. It was years ago so it will not be verbatim, obviously. I don't have an eidetic memory. Story, that day had been a long one due to my, literally, crazy boss. So while I was shopping I had two people already ask me for help. It was an upscale mall and I was dressed similarly to the store managers. The first two were polite and apologized for the honest mistake and I was jovial about it since they were so nice. But this is the encounter, to the best of my recollection, with the third person, yep, the third in under 15 minutes. I was walking away from the shoes to the ladies' lingerie area, as I was shopping for nylons, when the dreaded "excuse me" happened. Excuse me? Me knowing what's happening and what that tone meant, what kind of person probably barked so rudely and relatively loud, especially in a high-end department store. I was completely done with all personal interactions for the day, but especially one that could be draining. So, of course I ignore EP, pretending I didn't hear her. EP strident and very loudly now, moving much closer. "Excuse me." She was setting me off already by being too close and now I was whining in my head. So I sighed quite audibly, on purpose. I turn around and say, "Yes? EP, you're the manager, where is XYZ?" No, I don't remember what it was she was looking for exactly and I really didn't care, TBH. Me, "I don't know, ma'am." Cuts me off before I can finish with the "I don't work here" thing. EP, "Well, you should. I'm a frequent and loyal customer, so..." And I kid you not, the woman shooed me away. She was all indignant, wanting me to go find out ASAP. Me just blinking at her. EP, "Well, go find out already." Shouting directly in my face with spittle to boot. Me, "Ma'am, I don't work here," with a dead-eyed expression. No, I didn't even care enough to expound upon that. EP, "Well, I never. You're the rudest employee I've ever encountered. Get. Snap your. Snap, boss. Snap." Me, frustrated and not caring anymore, cause she now had shoot and snapped her fingers at me. I'm not an employee so I'm not going to do anything but continue my own shopping. You should be ashamed of yourself for your inexcusable behavior. EP, confused but going with it, "Sure, you aren't," she said sarcastically. "Just go find out. I'm running late and I need XYZ. Me, "Ma'am, I still don't work here." I turn and take off. BTW, the employees at this store would never walk away from a shopper or be rude. Not ever. I can hear her getting even more aggravated as I leave, but she was rude. As I'm looking at the display of hose in the lingerie section to find the correct ones, which takes a few minutes as they aren't plentiful, I needed tallest ones for open-toed pumps, and they rearranged it since the last time I was here. I hear more screeching. EP, there she is. Pulling A behind her with just the magnetic force of her displeasure. I don't turn, just knowing this is going to get ugly with the mood I'm now in. A looks confused and a lot worried. I think there's been a EP, I want that manager's name and her boss now. She will be fired. Immediately. And give me corporate's number. This is disgraceful. So I slowly turn around. I should warn that while I'm normally very tolerant and love to help older people who need it especially, I greatly dislike stupid, racist or loudly ignorant people and I have a temper. EP stepped into my space, again. I let loose. Yelling in EP's face. I hate that for good reason. Me, "Ma'am." Very obviously sarcastic. For the last time, I do not work here. I step away and turn around again, trying to calm myself and avoid a catastrophe. It's silent. Legit, only the classical music they play in the background. I'm desperately trying to find the nylons quickly so I can get the items and get the heck out of there ASAP. Desperately trying to control my temper. I see them and grabbed all they had, like 5. Didn't even check them to ensure they were correct sizes. That's when it happened. That's when it all went to crap. EP grabs my arm, pinching it hard as her hand slips on my silk blouse. I bruise easily, so it ended up being a huge doozy later. She grabbed me so hard she pulled the seam on the sleeve. I think I still have it in the back of my closet. I never did wear it again, so I'm not positive. What EP didn't know that escalated the situation drastically was I have extreme PTSD from being sexually assaulted by a gang, and any grabbing of my arms from behind me is a major and usually very violent trigger. I instantly flash back. Sorry, this is hard for me to recount, as even now I shake when thinking about it or the attack. This next part hubby told me since he watched the security tapes later. I dropped my items, jerked my arm away, backed up into as good of a corner as I could and started screaming in a panic. Me, no. Don't touch me. I slide down the wall at my back with my hands over my ears. I've gone into freeze and hide mode and repeated, no 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 no. EP then made the mistake of moving closer again in an aggressive manner. I remember some of this part. I looked up into her malicious face and went straight into fight mode, standing up abruptly and into her face screaming aggressively. Me no. You don't get to hurt me. I'm not entirely present yet, but know something's off as there are no men near me. This is a huge lucky break because any men near me at that moment would have immediately made me go berserk and attack. I'm still in my aggressive stance but started saying something along the lines of just leave me alone, go away, and more no no no. EP backed up and I imagined she thought I was some crazy person, and she would have been correct right then. Somehow I knew I wasn't entirely there and traumatized somehow. My pupils were probably blown wide, and with the automatic sobbing my mascara was likely already streaked down my cheeks. Hubby said I looked haunted when he picked me up later as I was too distraught to drive home. A calmed me down a little as I noticed I wasn't being attacked at that moment. That's when security arrived to see us still sobbing, shaking, firmly on the throes of the panic attack from the flashback and adrenaline-crazed person. Problem: security was all male. Back into the flashback I go, screaming and freaking out violently. I know they took EP away at some point, and I hazily remember A sitting on the floor cross-legged nearby but not too close. She was talking to me in soothing tones, but I don't remember what was said. For all I know, she was repeating supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or some alien language. I wouldn't let anyone else anywhere near me. I was too hysterical, crying. I was starting to realize, in relief, it was a flashback only, and became more and more embarrassed and horrified. It got me to give her my phone to call my eyes contact, hubby. He told me later he explained what likely happened and told them to put him on speaker. He started doing his "you're safe" routine and was on his way. That's what really got me out of the episode enough to start letting them help me, at a distance of course. We all ended up in the back offices, as they called EMTs, because I was in shock, was white, I'm very pale but bloodless is a different kind of pale, and my heart rate went bonkers and almost fainted. I got my meds out of my purse, took it and waited as the EMTs came and did their job. The cop who was with me was a war vet and knew exactly what was going on, how to not set me off, what to ask, etc. EP was in a different area and was still going insane about the psychotic employee who attacked her and all sorts of threats. So when hubby got there, he heard what she was yelled, told the cops he knew I would press charges on anyone who grabbed me and treated me like that. Turns out that another cop, over with EP, was a distant cousin of my hubby, same last name from the same great-grandfather or something. They talked a bit outside the room and I guess EP overheard that he was my hubby. She tried to blame my hubby for my PTSD attack as he must have abused me. Hubby disabused that notion by laying down some facts explaining why I freaked out, what happened to me, that I was a minor at the time and that it was before we met. Hubby says he also called her an idiotic hag as he left. All the info shut her up temporarily but didn't stop her entirely. Hubby came in to comfort me and help me. Police finally asked once I was calm enough if I wanted to press charges, and I did. Of course. They had already seen the recordings from security by that point, so only needed me to tell them what happened and to confirm why I freaked out. EP was told she was being arrested and started up the banshee screaming again. The store manager said he would be banning her for her behavior indefinitely. At some point during that, EP's kid, a teenaged girl, showed up frantic looking for her mom. Mall security had escorted her and made quite the ruckus. I felt bad for the kid and saw her as she waited for her dad with security when we were escorted out into the public part of the store. EP kept up the "I'm innocent and this is a misunderstanding" and threatening me for doing this to her all the way until court, supposedly. I really thought I would have to testify for a while, which was very stressful. The prosecutor's office called me a couple months later to tell me she was taking the deal after the CCTV footage and the photographic proof of the ripped shirt and progress of the huge bruise she gave me was shown to her. It was a bad case that would be expensive to fight for her to only lose with that evidence. She was a first-time offender, so she got the option to do a program where they do intensive personal and some group psychotherapy, anger management, rehab, support groups, community service and such depending on the offenses. If completed, the record gets wiped clean. She took it, and as part of the deal she had to plead guilty in court in front of the judge beforehand. So no testifying about it and my previous assault in open court. I was very grateful for that. One last bit of justice happened though. Her work found out, and due to a clause in her contract they fired her immediately. Found out about that from the prosecutor, too. Haven't heard about her since. Never bothered to check up on her as she did her sentence and wasn't important. BTW, I still hate hosiery, and this wasn't the only time someone grabbed me in public and I freaked out on them. Most recently was this last summer. Also, sorry it's so very long. I tried to trim it down without taking out too much of the needed info. And to anyone worried, I do still go to therapy, support groups, etc. and have since the gang assault happened 20 years ago. You don't get over something like this, but I'm managing pretty well for the most part. The next story is titled Lady Wants Wheelchair-Bound Woman to Get Something from Top Shelf. Background: I'm an amputee after a summer 2017 car accident, left leg. This story takes place like 2 or 3 weeks after I got my cast off, so forgive me if I can't remember the details well. Setting: Safeway, grocery store chain. Me, wearing a teal top with gray shorts, in a wheelchair, of vital importance, one leg. I was at the store to get some stuff for dinner and looking down the baking aisle. I was in a bit of a rush. I had grabbed a couple things and was trying to turn around to leave that aisle. As you probably expected, an older lady came up to me and asked for help. I'm terrible with saying no, so I reluctantly say okay. Again, I'm in gray shorts and a teal top, clearly not an employee, who wear black pants and either a black or tan shirt, and clearly in a wheelchair. Karen equals the lady. Me equals goes without saying. This is paraphrased, don't remember exact words from near 2 years ago, sorry. Karen, I need this thing. I don't remember what from up there, points to the top shelf, miles above my sitting height. I would have done it if I was whole, but I have terrible balance now and don't like to stand without my crutches. Me, okay? What do you want from me? Karen, well, I want you to get it for me. Me, being me, how? Karen, just stand up and get it. Me, you can see that I'm in a wheelchair, right? Karen, so? You need to help customers. Me, still not clicking, me? Karen, yes, you. An employee should always put customers first. Me, the amazing dumbass, who finally gets what Karen's saying, oh. I'm a customer, not an employee. Sorry. Karen looks as if she's finally seen light and takes in my entire appearance. She somehow went pale and red at the same time. I'm still amazed by that feat, and rushed off. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.